Welcome to LSB Feaster's Radio Air Check and Classic TV channel.
Jack Diamond Morning Show in Washington, D.C. on Mix 107.3. I promised you a pretty major announcement. Now, certainly for us, in the overall scheme of things in the world, this is a small thing. But to those of us who have spent 30 years here at 4400 Jennifer Street, and as part of the Jack Diamond Morning Show, it's a pretty big deal. We have never taken your listenership lightly, ever. It's always meant the world to us. Now, it's interesting because our product is free and disposable. You've heard the show. And you have your choice of about, 52, 60 radio stations in Washington.
Wow.
So there are a lot of broadcast signals. If you include Baltimore and Fredericksburg and a few of the other areas, there are 72 frequencies that show up in Washington, D.C. So the very fact that you choose us for 5 minutes a day, 10, an hour, 4, listen morning, midday, afternoon, night, it really does mean the world to us. And first of all, and by the way, this is going to be a week of fun shows. I want to say that right now. This is going to be a week of things that we wanted to share with you, have wanted to share with you for many years. Let me start here. Back in the day, this was WMAL-FM. There was WMAL-TV. There was WMAL-AM. Television stations sold off. The radio stations were sold off. And for a long time, very consistently owned by ABC. And they went through a number of incarnations to MAL-FM. And eventually, those of you who have been here for a few years know this was Q107. Great top 40 radio station. Went head-to-head with WPGC and a few other top 40 stations. And it was just legendary. So we want to pay homage to those who came before us and set the table quite literally, so we could come down and sit and have a meal at a contemporary genre of radio that they started.
Right. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
In 1990, I got a call from a guy named Norm Schrott. Norm is currently Jimmy's agent. He was the president of ABC. Aloysius, would you like to come back home to Washington, D.C.? I was in San Francisco at the time, and I said, I'm not sure, Norm. What are we talking about? I'll tell you the story on Friday. But in 1990, we began Mix 107.3. Now, in that time, we've had a couple of owners. Disney bought ABC, and then a company called Citadel bought the radio assets, and then Cumulus, who currently owns us, bought the assets. I want to thank all of those companies for continuing to employ the Jack Diamond Morning Show. And Erica Hillary, Jimmy Alexander, and producer Blair, our newest member, and giving us the opportunity to use this frequency. Now, radio frequencies are held in the public interest. The whole goal is for us to serve you in some way, whether it's news, traffic, weather, public service announcements, local companionship. This show was here very sadly on September 11th, but if you guys were, we stayed on the air. We tried to make sense of it all. We tried to be the voice of reason. We talked with you. You talked with us. You shared what you were thinking and feeling. And those roles in this business are really important. We love our little dog and pony show. We enjoy doing that for you very much. The musical acts and musical guests that have been on this show literally run from presidents to Paul McCartney. The kind sponsors and partners of ours, which range from small local businesses to national advertisers, mean the world to us. They enable us to turn on the lights in the transmitter every day to come in and work for you. So they play no small part in our history, and we thank every single one of them. I'd love to detail them all because they deserve thanks. And if you like what we do and you like radio that you can laugh at and maybe listen to with your family or your kids in the car, we tried to do that for you over these past 30 years. So I mentioned that the assets of our company were sold along with basically our talent contracts and what's called our intellectual property. Our logos and all of those sorts of things, or jingles or sweepers, things that make a radio station sound like that radio station. Unfortunately, Cumulus Broadcasting entered into a deal to sell pretty much our tower and our transmitter that sits over here on Wisconsin Avenue in Northwest Washington to a company called EMF. And they're a broadcaster based out of Sacramento, and they sort of pipe in satellite-driven programming to big major market and medium and smaller market radio stations. Without getting into the politics of all that, they're not interested in all of this. They have their own satellite-delivered programming that they want to put in Washington, D.C. at 107.3. So our final day as Mix 107.3 will occur this Friday, May 31st. Now, it's the end of an era because it's not as if a company bought us and will be owned by someone new. They're going to put their own satellite-delivered programming on this frequency as of 7 p.m. on Friday, May 31st. Now...
And it's not the type of programming we would fit into. They have a certain type of...
It's satellite delivered. Yeah. I mean, listen, they're Christian broadcasters. They have a format called K-Love. My issue with it, and I'll just say this, because these licenses are held in the public interest, having a local radio station with local people who talk with you about things going on in your community, and as I said, whether it's a charity event or whatever, I think that's what commercial frequency space is all about. I have a problem with somebody taking something out of the commercial spectrum. There's an educational spectrum below 92 on FM.
Those frequencies
you can do anything with. They're non-commercial, and if you want to do religious or whatever kind of programming, educational programming, you can. Philosophically, I have a problem with taking commercial spectrum and using it for something else, but you know what? That's for the FCC and others to decide. This is simply the situation. Now, I will tell you, the Jack Diamond Morning Show isn't going anywhere. Well, it won't be on 107.3 after this Friday. Our final show is 6 to 9 a.m. We're going to come back in the evening just to thank you again and say goodbye between 6 and 7 p.m. on Friday. Before, and this is one of the things I wanted to tell you, that in the 4 years, we were gone for a year, when they tried this national format called All the Hits, and it did not work out, and they were kind enough to bring us back, and we're truly grateful for the past 4 years. So thank you to Cumulus, thank you to Mary Berner, our CEO, Mike McVeigh, Dave Milner, all of our local people. It has been great. It's been wonderful sharing another 4 years with you. It's not going away, love.
Was it Easter egg?
Not going away. It was an Easter egg. It was a wonderful surprise we could pull this group back together. I want to share one thing with you because I don't want there to be rumors, and I want you to have the facts about this. Thank you for listening. This radio station and this morning show have been blessed with your kind listenership. In the latest ratings that were released on Tuesday, I'm going to give you the adults 25 to 54 because I think it's important you know this. This is a very important bit of information.
And that's the most important demographic.
25 to 54 adults is what most advertisers go for. Not all. I mean, if you're selling, Clearasil or pimple cream, whatever, teenagers. By the way, we're number one in teenagers. Right. Thank you very much for that. Number one. WAMU is number one. WMMJ, fine radio station. Followed by WJFK, WTOP, WGTS, WMAL, WHUR, and the Jack Diamond Morning Show. Now, these are just the morning show numbers. So, and by the way, I have nothing against anybody who works at any other radio station and does mornings. I respect the fact that you guys get up at 3:30 and you bust ass and do your best for your listeners as well. But if you'll notice, there are two urban stations above us. The first station that's a music and entertainment-oriented station in our format that plays pop music is the Jack Diamond Morning Show. So overall in Washington, D.C., we're 8th. And I can't tell you, well, I'll give you an example. We're 8th. Hot is 12th. Fresh is 13th. Wash is 15th. WMZQ is 16th. And WBIG is 18th. So I wanted you to hear that from me. This is not ratings driven. The fact that they're selling us, these people at EMF simply want our transmitter and our stick for their programming in Washington. Yep. So it's not as if somebody thought they had a better idea of how to do contemporary radio. So not only is the Jack Diamond Morning Show in the top 10, it is the number one contemporary music and entertainment show in Washington, D.C. Number one. 6+. Let's take into account every single person who Nielsen surveys, and I want to let you know that, well, everybody can pick and choose demographics. Not true. This includes the world. 6+, 6 years of age plus. WAMU, you guys do kick ass and take names. Followed by WTOP, again, fine urban station WMMJ, our sister station WMAL, WHUR, WGTS, which is, by the way, a Christian station and one of the best performing in the country, WJFK, WETA, and the Jack Diamond Morning Show. Now, again, these are all morning show numbers. So, again, if you look, the number one contemporary music and entertainment morning show in Washington, D.C. is the Jack Diamond Morning Show. Hot is 10th, Wash is 12th, Fresh is tied with them for 12th, WMZQ is 16th, and WVIG is 18th. I wanted you to hear that from me, because others will,
Rumors will start.
Rumors will start.
I guess that's true.
So there are the facts. As much as I want to burst into tears and kick and scream and roll around the floor, you don't expect that from me, and it's not what we do. On Friday morning, we have some surprises for you. And I think if you're a fan of radio and local radio personalities, and you've listened since the Q107 days, this will blow your ever-loving mind. Now, that said, I think we can live up to that. And I hope you'll listen. Not only this week, but Friday morning between 6 and 9 a.m. and Friday evening between 6 and 7 p.m. Would you like to add anything at this moment?
Oh, boy.
No, there's obviously a lot that gets said, but change is inevitable, and we can embrace change.
We can.
So,
and we will. As I said, the Jack Diamond Morning Show is not going anywhere. Blair?
Well, I have been here now literally almost 3 years to the day with you guys. And I know, Jack, Jimmy, and Erica, you have worked together a very long time.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank you
You are
very
welcome.
much for bringing me on these last 3 years. It's been a pleasure, and I'm very sad
I am too.
that we are not going to be with our friends, our listeners, come Saturday morning. So Friday is our last day, and there will be no more mix, and that is heartbreaking to me.
It is heartbreaking that a legendary... we were the first mix station, by the way, in the country. I think it's between us and Mix in Baltimore, but we were within a day of each other going on the air in 1990. So we're very proud of, as I said, September 11th, sadly the sniper elections.
Recounts, impeachments. We've seen it and done it all.
Everybody from presidents to Paul McCartney have been kind enough to grace the air here. And I think you'll see some pretty impressive people who are part of our show on Friday morning. And that's what we'd really like you to take away from this, is a celebration of a radio station that really... we were offered the opportunity to do a national show 2 or 3 times by ABC, and we turned it down every time. I live here locally. Everybody on the show does.
Yep.
I was born and raised here. This is my hometown. So I really didn't have an interest in it. It pays more money, but quite honestly, it doesn't make it a local show anymore. Some of them work. I mean, Howard Stern has done incredible things, doing a national and even worldwide show. But it's not the kind of show we do. Ours is dialed down very, very locally. So, thanks to ABC and all the, Citadel, Cumulus, Disney for their kind support over all these years. But let's make it a great week and a celebratory week and have some fun. James, would you like to have the final word right now, please, my brother?
Buddy. Kicking and screaming and falling, I don't want you to do that now. Wait till Friday, and then you can sue Workman's Comp. Right on the last day.
Jimmy says, why we've been partners for 23 years.
Always thinking.
And by the way, we'll run down the partners on the show, but Jimmy and I have been together longer than anyone except Lisa Ann and I. And Lisa Ann and I met each other just, 2 weeks before, or, had a relationship begin 2 weeks before Jimmy and I. So thank you for the 23 years of your unwavering loyalty, friendship, and sharing your extraordinary talent. Erica, thank you. This is our second time around here, and I'm so proud to have come back and done this with you. And Blair, you've done an amazing and marvelous job in your 3 years.
It's been my pleasure.
But mostly, thank you for listening. Love your show, baby.
Mix 107.3. DC's best music mix and the Jack Diamond Morning Show. More is next.